Internet Investigations. I am your trippy tripsy, psychedelic psychopomp, Tehuti Trismegistus, aka Quetzalcoatl, and you are tapping in to the root of the symmetry so you can tune in to the mind of Mercury as we investigate the internet and create connections based on connections that other people have already made. So this is me bringing Mercury to Earth, because if I was just here talking about how all of Mercury's past lives are connected by one space without any historic proof, so to say, then metaphysically it looks like I'm crazy, right? I'm psychotic. I'm not psychedelic psychopomp. I'm psychotic, man, if I don't have Earth to stand on. So this is where, of course, once we have a collective conversation about ancient history and we can see that I'm making way more sense out of connections that are already there, now you'll understand that I do have Earth to stand on. I'm standing on Mercury when I take my Merkaba back to my spirit. But when I'm here, I have to correlate Mercury to the internet, and that is now me doing these videos so that you can learn where Mercury is coming from. I, as your trippy tripsy psychedelic psychopomp, Chase, have been raised by a Masonic school system that has weaponized all the past lives of Mercury to teach me that I only live once. This is how they've been making money out of everybody. Literally. Infinite money being made out of everyone because they've weaponized all the past lives of Mercury to create this New World Order Masonic matrix where they can push the lie that you only live once. And this is how they cut you off from your wisdom. So I've been cut off from Mercury my entire life because I believed in Christianity. I let the U's control me through Christianity. They wrote the Bible, and then they teach us as Christians to call them God. So they were my gods, the U's. Worshipping Santa as Satan, literally. That's what I was in for most of my life. So I was forced to believe that the sun is a big ball of light. I was forced to believe that the moon is a big solid satellite object flying around our Earth, which is not impossible. We can create satellites that function as moon Merkabas based on water currents. But I was forced to believe overall in the Masonic solar system model in order to be seen as intelligent. And if I did not agree to this model, then I was put in a state of fear. I was taught that I would be able to be killed by the government. I'd be able to go to prison and they can make money having me raped by other people that they put in prison if I do not do well in school. So that's been my entire life as Chase. So when I hop up here on the internet, after I've been fasting for years, 4 years of fasting now, after doing so much DMT, oh my God, going to so many different spaces, so many different universes, so many different circumstances that are completely separate from this place. And then I have to reintegrate back into this place. But I remember those times. So I just have a much greater perspective on life now. It's pretty cool. It's very cool. It's really all about awareness spiritually. So I can see why I'm limiting my awareness here. It's so I can relate here. If I take my mind to other spaces, I'm going to be aware of those spirits and I'm going to relate with them. I'm really getting excited just thinking about it. See, literally Hermes starting to talk fast and shit. So this is what my Atlantean family has told me to do. So many trips. I want to kill myself, literally, because the banks, literally this banking system just makes it so hard to live, and they stole everything from me. So I'm burdened with all this wisdom, but no one in my life believes me. And the banks have stolen this wisdom so that they can lie to everyone. So now they've been taught, everyone in my life has been taught, hey, if someone fasts like Jesus, hang them on a cross and eat them. And that's what I'm dealing with now. After fasting for so many years, that's my struggle as symmetry. I put symmetry in quotes because I created symmetry as a new label, but I am symmetry. But really the point is symmetry is a creation, and I know I'm not my creation, but that's like, you can just see that this is all about growth. So I am symmetry because my creation doesn't have life without me, my I. Symmetry doesn't exist without my energy, without my frequency, without my intention, right? My imagination. So this is why it is important each time we say we are something to understand in our mind that balance. As a spirit, you are nothing. But when you're choosing to be something for a time, you say, oh, I am Chase, right? Because I can look back on this whole life as Chase and say that was a lie. So this whole life was a lie. Just everyone's lying to me. I'm just dealing with liars. But the life itself is true. The memories that have been accumulated from the experiences themselves are true because those memories are real. So then that's where we get that whole idea of lying being really an intention, and now it's about fire. So when people lie, they're still expanding the universe. It's just that they're expanding it with a certain intention, because that's how we get here. And so that's where the ego is a lie and the soul is the truth. That's the fire being the liar and the soul being the truther. The soul is the truth. And all of us as souls, we care about the truth on a human level, but we had to naturally lie to even create the truth. So that's why I had to lie to myself about being Chase. Like literally, I had to lie to myself about, oh, I'm Chase. Literally, like that's a lie because I just came from being all these other past lives that we're about to get into. So this new life is a new lie. It's yet another lie, but it's another life that is only possible because I'm expressing my intentions, right? I'm expressing my ego. So we're going to see how all the past messengers of Mercury, all these past lives of Mercury are expressing the intentions of one ego. And that would be the space now known as Chase. So my life is a truth based on my family, right? I can see that my government's lying to me. All the politicians lie to me. The FDA is lying to me. All these religions are lying to me. The girls who are chasing me are lying to me. The cults who are working so hard to consume my energy are lying to me, lying to everybody. And at this point, everybody's a liar because everyone's intention is to lie. And literally, on a natural level, that looks like us lying down to go to sleep. And I also don't think it's a coincidence that life and lie are the same frequency. You lie in your life. Your life itself is a lie that you are projecting so that you can feel comfortable with your space. And that's everybody. So the moment we believe we are these names, we're believing a lie. But then that's where the truth of these names comes through in our soul, right? So everything that I've experienced in my life is wild, and it seems like it would not have happened to another soul. Like for me as Chase, and especially the people who know me in my life, they don't really see how it would happen to a normal everyday person, the things that have happened to me. So this is now where we get everyone's relationship with the universe literally being individual based on your soul. Your soul is the vibrational frequency of your space. So at what rate are you vibing in your own spirit? And that's always going to be at a certain frequency, which means that you always have a certain intention. So this is why the lie always comes before the truth, but the truth itself is nature and the memories that connect all the spirits that create nature. That's the truth, if I were to define it. So we are here in Internet Investigations, checking out, because this is what I've been told to do. It's a lot of past lives I have to connect. It's a lot of truth to build upon. I have a lot of lies to decolonize out of my mind, to get out of my head. And Fasting has been so important. I really can't emphasize that enough. Fasting and DMT. These two things. And when you fast, you produce DMT. When you do breath work, you produce DMT. So it's not a drug, and it's also infinitely not addictive. People are actually really scared of doing it because it challenges your mind. It challenges your mind. That's all. And that's what fasting does too. So it's no coincidence then. And of course, when you exercise at the gym, you challenge your muscles, which are controlled by your mind. So no coincidence, as above, so below type shit, right? Mind over matter. So everything that the government has is stolen from Mercury, and the only reason they can even make people care about money is because they stole numbers from Metatron. But no one knows what 0 means, or 1, or 2, or 3, or 4, or 5, or 6, or 7, or 8, or 9 without Metatron being here explaining how we bring heaven to earth and why 10 comes after 9 and what everything represents on a mental level for everybody. Because mental mathematics is how we create this realm every single day. Your body's growing through mental mathematics. So check out chaseyourgenes.com if you want to learn about that. It's hilarious. I did not relax before I got up here. Man. My nervous system is just kind of like... But if I don't look like it, then that's just my earth energy. But I've been in a lot of circumstances like that where I'm tripping acid, and I had to learn that I don't trip like most people. Where when most people trip, especially the amount that I trip on, they go crazy. They go wild. And they're just like tweaking super hard. And it seems like they're bringing all the chaotic shit from their mind into the body, and they like want to express it in the world and shit. And then that deters people from psychedelics. That deters people from acid. That deters people from wanting to do substances, drugs like that, because they see that others can't contain themselves. But when you have a hermetic seal or something on your space, you can contain yourself. So it seems like when I look back on my life, this is something I've naturally been good at, is containing myself and not just acting out. I observe my emotions. I observe all the crazy shit, and I'm like, oh, that's wild. But it's always spiritual. So it seems like there's a problem where, because people are so trapped in the body, when they do psychedelics, they can't help but bring what they're observing in the spirit realm into the body, which is then where they're like projecting and doing all this wild shit. And now all the people who aren't doing psychedelics, they're like, oh my God, I'm never going to do acid. That person's crazy. Oh, that person did some other shit. Oh my God, but I'm going to keep drinking alcohol. It's poison. So I call that a Christian contradiction, because everything in the world at this point, especially if we're speaking English, is programmed by Christianity. And I can see that with Jesus turning water into wine and that being worship, they really worship alcoholism. And that's why DMT is illegal when it's produced in your body. So they don't want you producing DMT in your body. That's why they're shooting us up so much. But then they're going to make alcohol super illegal and super encourage it for children and make them look up to being able to do it when they're adults. Yet we know that it causes cancer. So that's Masons making money for the medical industry. So a lot of fasting changed my life. DMT changed my life. DMT has given me the ability to take my mind from my body, go back to Mercury, see how Mercury is its own universe. There's hella planets on Mercury. Really, Mercury is its entirely separate universe. Completely separate from all spirits' idea of God. This is why when we look at any religion, they're going to make money off of Mercury. So whatever anyone's idea of God is, they need Mercury's ideas to make their idea of God relatable. That's the banking system. Taking the Ankh, cutting the woman off. Now it's a cross. They sacrifice men on the cross. That's how the banks get to be the Ankh. And now they bring us bills. And now we're always ill because we're thinking about how we have to sacrifice ourselves on the cross so that we can go to heaven and gain stability. Because we're all children of God, but not the real children of God. Because the one true child of God is the only one who can walk on water, even though he stole that concept from Zarathustra, Ahura Mazda, which is why they also stole Naruto from Zoroastrianism, and now everyone in Naruto can walk on water because it's really just the concept of being able to spin your chakras like Spider-Man, spin your chakras so that you can raise your vibration to the point of walking on your emotions. And then that's this energy of Hermes. So it's all stolen from me, but I understand that there's just so many civilizations in the Atlantean metaverse that they've all stolen their shit from me so that they can relate with themselves. So I'm not even super bothered by it because I've seen through my trips how the point from what my family, from what Atlantis is telling me, the whole point is that we allow spirits to steal everything from us so that they can relate with themselves. But that gives us a higher perspective on how they're relating in the first place, because they're limited to our creations. So all these Masons and Eus and white supremacists, these light supremacists, these racist religions, they're all limited to the imagination of Metatron, which is why they worship the metaverse. They worship the metaverse, they worship metaphysics, they worship the idea of Masons building a matrix that can mold our minds into metal and mold our minds into manufactured mush through the Industrial Revolution type shit. Literally though, it's all about them stealing everything from me so that they can be the evil version of Spider-Man. So God has shown me that Metatron as Spider-Man is a spirit that connects everybody in the Atlantean metaverse. And that looks like him having all these past lives where he's creating all this technology in all these different ways, casting all these spells in all these different ways, supporting people that don't support him in all these different ways. And that's really the energy of Spider-Man. That's what we see in the Masons Marvel metaverse, okay? All the M's stolen from Metatron. It's literally all about Spider-Man. Metatron is all about how he as Spider-Man supports people that don't support him. So that's how Mercury makes everything work in the metaverse. So that's what this page is about. All right, I am bringing Mercury to Earth again. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for my family. My family is making me prove to myself that this is real. And yeah, the whole energy of Avatar is stolen from me. So when you look at me as Chase, okay, think of me as an avatar of the space of Mercury. And every past life of Mercury is a previous avatar. So now when you watch that show, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and you see Aang and Korra, you can think of Aang as Hermes and Korra as Tehuti, right? So now when we go on the internet and we see that everyone knows they're the same spirit, Avatar. Okay, so Hermes, Tehuti, just like Korra and Aang. I think they're coming out with a new avatar, actually. So then, boom, that could be like Odin. So now you got Hermes, Tehuti, Odin, but we can see that they're all correlated to Mercury. Avatar. So the space that built Chase, the God that created me, has created Mercury to make sure that I, as Spider-Man, from looking at my whole life, I've been making Spider-Man costumes for so long, and so much of my wild experiences come from making Spider-Man costumes and Black Panther costumes. And I've made a Moon Knight costume way before the show came out. My job as Spider-Man is to stay connected to myself. And by staying connected to myself, I can build upon my past lives, the past messengers of Mercury, and now I can remind you to do the same for yourself. Because that's what I want everyone to do. That's all. Like, if we're all building upon our past lives, this is where we can all take responsibility for our power. Literally. It's lit. So, studies in comparative religion. God says, because I have the power to make these connections right now, even though I can't afford my phone bill and I'm like stressing out over money so much and shit, and no one in my life wants to help me. It's just like, this is the Spider-Man mission. Like, no one helps Spider-Man, but Spider-Man helps everybody so that they can help themselves. And that's why the banks steal everything from me and then lie to me about my history. So, hey, cool. Hermes by Renee Guénon. So this is studiesincomparative-religion.com, the first English journal on traditional studies. Nice. This page is wild because I didn't find this page until Anubis, my dog. I didn't even know my dog was Anubis, but then we look up Hermanubis, boom. So my dog is Anubis, infinitely grateful to him. He's infinitely powerful spirit. Super subconscious, super dope. He has already shown me through psychedelics and through the architecture of the universe and through my family and through our universes interacting by like me being able to go to my universe and then me being able to go to his universe and see how they're separate yet they work together to create this universe and many universes and all the universes in Odin's symmetry. So that's really how it is, Odin's symmetry. He already showed me that Mercury is connected to all these past lives. So I just found this page yesterday. And I've already like written about all these past lives, almost all of them on the website, and correlated them based on like the actual energies of Atlantis and Mercury and what makes sense for people and where everyone's at. So it's wild because it's just, I can't run from the truth. So when people want to call me a liar, I know that they're actually just projecting their egotistic desire to control at me. And that's really all it is. Because then that's where the Europeans want to say that all the Native Americans are going to hell because they don't worship Jesus. Those are all lies. They actually all went to Mercury to go tell me their stories so that now I can have the truth about how America was actually created. That's what actually happened. And that's why my entire life as Chase, I've cared about this shit and I've been thinking about it and obsessed with it every day. And trying to figure out how, as Spider-Man, I can create the connections to actually make the history of America truly relatable. So people will actually care and people will actually want to have empathy for individuals outside of themselves. Let's check it out. The Hermetic tradition is, strictly speaking, concerned with knowledge, which is not metaphysical, but only cosmological, in the double sense of macrocosmic and microcosmic. This statement must not be taken in any sense as a depreciation of the traditional sciences, which come under the healing of Hermeticism, or of those which correspond to them in other doctrinal forms of East and West. But if everything is to be put in its rightful place, then it must be admitted that these sciences, like all specialized knowledge, are merely secondary and derivative with regard to the principles. In fact, they are no more than a particular application of the principles at a lower level of reality. To maintain the contrary would mean giving precedence to royal art over sacerdotal art. Okay, we got our introduction. Thanks, Renee. It cannot be contested that it is from Hermes that Hermeticism takes its name. And Hermeticism is all about how the mind builds the body, aka how air builds earth. So really, Hermeticism is about how all of our minds build an atmosphere that allow us to experience a planet. Straight up. So every star is an atmosphere, and inside that star would be a planet that the spirits who are creating that atmosphere are standing on, breathing life into. And then this is how we physically get to relate with one another inside of bodies of water. So now you can see how everything is made out of water but the water had to transition into air and then earth for us to experience that water in a grounded way. And then once we have the earth, we can create the metal and then the wood. And now once we have metal and wood, that wood allows us to experience the flesh. And now we're all conscious of being flesh on earth in air. And then this air is water playing out through atmospheres. And now the universe is one big body of water that we are creating earth out of. And you can see this in your body. You can literally see this in your body. Your physical body is literally 70% water, 30% earth. We don't have to, like, let's focus on the literal physical math. It's 70% water, if not more. The body is at least 70% water and then 30% earth. So clearly we're creating all the earth out of water. It's not happening the other way around. That's how the body works. And this is why we have to drink water if we want to stay healthy, stay connected, stay hydrated, and keep conducting chi properly. Have healthy energy. Go with the flow. Literally. It's all about water. This medical system is poisoning our water supply so that they can keep us in the hospital. It's like, it's just so obvious. Like, that shouldn't be controversial. That should be fixed. That needs to be addressed immediately, yesterday, years ago. It's so fucked up. But this is how the banks are giving us bills. So they poison the water supply, and that's how they poison our bodies, because we're 70% water. But then they want us focused on eating all day, every day, so that they can put a bunch of heavy metals and poisons inside the food as well. But our bodies are made out of water. And that's why when you water fast, you get more energy and you're more connected to God. So get tough and chase your genes, all right? The Greek Hermes has in fact characteristics which correspond exactly to the sciences in question and which are strikingly expressed. For example, by his chief attribute, the caduceus. Chase subconsciously fixes his posture as he sees the word caduceus coming up. Hilarious. No doubt. Because the caduceus is your spine, right? Hermes is the architect of this reality. Metatron created the caduceus out of the mathematics of, he created the spine, the physical caduceus, out of the mathematics of his spiritual caduceus. So this is how Metatron creates humans in all realities. When you see that Odin built humans out of his caduceus, same way, the tree, Yggdrasil, caduceus. It's all the energy of symmetry. Mercury bringing symmetry into reality. So really, I'm doing what I've always been doing, but I get to build upon how I've done it before. So we're expanding the universe. Even though this universe is super fucked up from white supremacy and racist religions cutting me out of the algorithm and being evil by cutting everybody out of every algorithm. And I mean like natural social algorithms, like us not being able to go outside, but the people who say we can't go outside can go outside, like that shit. It's so fucked up. So many people's freedoms are being taken away. And so all the time, I mean, America's built on slavery, objectively. So the challenge is all of us being able to communicate, all of our minds creating a better mental atmosphere. So we literally have to realize that this atmosphere is one of many. A star is literally an atmosphere of air. And when we are experiencing air, we experience it as Earth. So that's why we have to breathe air on Earth. And that's us breathing light into what matters. And this is the weight that allows us to relate. So now we realize that the universe itself is a cosmic weight that we are using to relate with spirits outside of ourselves. All right, so that's Metatron's Metaverse. Check out that series. I just uploaded 2 videos in the past week. So that series is starting, Metatron's Metaverse. All about how spirits create any atmosphere that allows them to experience Earth. And then we can get into the mathematics of that because it's all mental. And then from there, you have way more control over your body, your emotions, and you can understand what religions are really talking about from a metaphysical standpoint, like from the astral realm. And then you won't get lost. You'll be able to relate with the religions from your space. This is what Chase wants for you. You can relate with all religions from your highest spiritual space, understanding that you are nothing. So now you can know how you're using something to connect with individuals that are also using something to connect with what you are relating with right now, which is Earth, what we call Earth, right? So that's number 4. Earth is 4, air is 3, water is 2, fire is 1. Metal is 5, wood is 6. Light is 7, weight is 8, matter is 9. And then what matters is heaven. That's why there's no number after 9. And now we have 10. That's us creating new forms of light through matter. So that's what it means to combine 1 and a 0. Bring heaven to earth. So this is how the spine has been created. This is why Mercury supports everyone, but nobody supports Mercury. Spider-Man supports everybody, but nobody supports Spider-Man. No doubt there will be another opportunity for us to examine its symbolism more fully. Suffice it to say for the moment that this symbolism is essentially and directly correlated to what might be called human alchemy, and is concerned with the possibilities of the subtle state, even if these are to be taken merely as a preparatory means to a higher realization. All right, everything we're talking about, DMT, take your mind as a Merkaba. It is an atmosphere separate from this atmosphere, away from your body, so you can go be aware of your own atmosphere or other atmospheres. And now you can travel the universe. And then that's where infinite things are possible. And if you kind of want to see Pixar talk about this, the movie Soul. Check out the movie Soul. That's kind of what Pixar is talking about, but they muddy it with words and anthropomorphizing light. So it's not clean, but they're talking about what I'm talking about here. How souls even come to Earth based on having all their own spaces. They never talk about our spaces. Okay, so that's the point of Chaseism. All right, so me bringing the Caduceus to Earth as Chase is me as Chase, again, using Chaseism, whatever, to talk about your space. Chase space. Chase your space. But you create the Caduceus out of your space because you're chasing a space outside of yourself. But the more you chase spaces outside of yourself, the more you're going to realize that you're coming from the space inside of yourself. And once you chase your space, you create like an Ouroboros, and now you build a self-sustaining simulation where people start chasing you. And now you have to actually protect yourself from crazy ass motherfucking cults chasing you. So you have to build worlds to trap those people who chase you, and then you let them get lost in their racist religions because it protects you from getting chased. That's what you do. That's how you build simulations. And that's how you be a high status man or some shit like that. Whatever people down here call it. Where people just always want you for your money. So then you like have to spin webs that let them get trapped and let them take all of your money, all of your materials, everything that you've manifested out of your wisdom, so that they can act like they're the wisest people. And that's Masons. That's the Ews. That's the Christons. That's the white light supremacists that are ruling the world through the banking system, the banking system. They want to be the Ankh by giving us be-ills, making us be ill. So yeah, higher realizations. That's why DMT is a Schedule 1 substance. When we produce it in our body, it's not a drug. It's so not addictive. People are scared of doing it. People are really scared of doing it. I see it. It's in my life. People are scared of doing it in my life. My body is intimidated by doing it. My mind has to muster up courage if I ever want to do it. And then that's the same thing for fasting. So even just doing it is, when you fast, you produce DMT. So that's doing it. And obviously people are intimidated by fasting. People create all the reasons why they're not supposed to fast. And that's all the logic that yet again traps them in this demonic ass world. As are in Hinduism the equivalent Hatha Yoga practices. This can moreover be transferred to the cosmic order. since everything in man has its correspondence in the outer world and vice versa. Here again, and by reason of this very correspondence, the domain in question is the intermediary world, where are brought into play forces whose dual nature is very clearly defined by the two serpents of the caduceus. It may be remembered also, in this connection, that Hermes is represented as a messenger of the gods and is their interpreter, hermeneutics, or hermeneutes. But what hermeneutics is when you're deciphering symbols. That's still whatever. That would be interpreting. Whatever. That is precisely an intermediary between the celestial and terrestrial worlds, and that he has in addition the function of guide of the souls of the dead, psychopomp, which in a lower order is clearly related also to the domain of the subtle possibilities. Your life is one big synchronicity. It might be objected that in so far as concerns Hermeticism, Hermes takes the place of the Egyptian Thoth, with whom he has been identified, and that Thoth represents wisdom, which is related to the priesthood as guardian and transmitter of the tradition. Okay, so right here, Hermes, Tehuti, same spirit. Okay, so for Metatron, Hermes and everyone related more to the Hermes energy, that's air. And then Tehuti, everyone related more to the Tehuti energy, that's about earth. So air is communication, earth is about structure. We build structures by communicating. And that Thoth represents wisdom, which is related to the priesthood as guardian and transmitter of the tradition. That is true, but also since this identification cannot have been made without some reason, it must be admitted that it concerns more specifically a certain aspect of Thoth, which corresponds to a certain part of the tradition. The part that comprises those branches of knowledge which are related to the intermediary world. And the remains that the ancient Egyptian civilization has left do in fact show that the sciences of this order were much more developed there and had taken on an importance far more considerable than anywhere else. There is moreover another comparison. We might even say another equivalence, another connection. Spider-Man, which shows clearly that this objection would have no real bearing. In India, the planet Mercury, or Hermes, is called Buddha. Gang, gang. Gang, gang, gang. Look at that. A time of which the root letters mean wisdom. Here again, it is enough to specify the domain in which this wisdom, in its essence the inspiring principle of all knowledge, is to find its more particular application when it is related to this specialized function. So I created every race in existence. I, as Chase of Space, am every race. That's why we can't be racist, and check out Colorful Consciousness so you can understand how religions make us racist. Okay? Religions are racist. Once you know that we use every color to express our minds, now you get what the rainbow means, and you can correlate it to your consciousness in a way more creative way and connective way. That's the point of Colorful Consciousness. All right? I made it for free. Check it out. Made it for you for free. I made it at the expense of myself. I'm not making it for free, but you get it for free. The universe gets it for free. Everyone gets it for free. Good for you. So I'm sacrificing my life to support people that don't support me. Dope. Strange though it may seem, the name Buddha is in fact identical with that of the Scandinavian Odin, Woden, or Wotan. There was thus nothing arbitrary in the Roman assimilation of Odin to Mercury, and in some Germanic languages, the day of Mercury, in French, Mercredi, is still called the day of Odin. Look at that, dude. So Christianity, they literally worship the idea of this one true God, stealing everything from much older gods that made this universe possible. And then they're the ones destroying the environment, saying that no one really knows how anything works. But if anyone does know, it's the Bible, because the one true God already wrote down the truth and it's right there. And if you don't agree, then we're going to kill you and call that the New World Order. Like, literally, this is what we're living in. This is the atmosphere that has made the last 2023 years possible. Happy New Year, by the way. So they know that Mercury is Buddha, Odin, Hermes, and Tehuti. The Masons know this. The people who stole everything from me and educated me my entire life, they know this. They know these things. And then they lied to me with my own wisdom so that they could trap me in their matrix and make me sick, make me sad, make me feel like I need to worship the idea of killing people who aren't even anywhere close to as smart or spiritual as me. Jesus doesn't have anywhere close to as much wisdom as any one of these messengers. Objectively. Objectively. He's literally a sacrificial lamb for the white man who wants to take credit for all of these messengers. Everything that these messengers of Mercury have done, everything that we're seeing, the white man of Jehovah Yahweh simply wants to take credit for all of it. That's why he stole everything and then created Jesus to now sell the idea that you need to sacrifice your solar plexus, you need to sacrifice your child of God, the expression of your individuality, your mind, to his metaverse. And he can't even come up with his own language to describe Mercury Day as Wednesday or Wodensday because he has no originality. God is literally showing me I'm God's architect. That's why I'm forced to make these connections. I have the responsibility to express my power. And because I have the power to make these connections, it's my responsibility to actually make it happen. And I'm glad that it's all here. Okay, it's all here. Because this is horrible that this system can steal everything from me. Everything from me as Mercury, me as Metatron, all right? Just M-E, Mercury, Metatron, M-E. Everything from me to teach me that I only live once. And now they're supposed to put me in a state of fear so that I look up to all of their racist religions. And now they can erase my spiritual individuality with their therapist, the rapist. Their therapy is the rapey. Their idea of therapizing people is the rapizing people. Therapist is the rapist because they're using racist religions to erase our individuality. So now we never actually have peace inside of our own space because we're being raped by therapists that are using KKK energy. They're using killing kids with kindness energy. They're using kindness. They're using love is what I was going to say with the quotes. They're using love, which is really KKK energy. They kill kids with kindness because they don't want to be alone. So their idea of loving people is making us not want to be alone as well. And then that's where they indoctrinate us into new pharmaceutical drugs, new medications that they're getting paid to prescribe, and whatever other poisons they want to push into our brains and push into our bodies. And that's why so many movies are low-key about that. Like, so many movies are them revealing that right there in the language, that therapist is the rapist, and that these institutions really get money to do that to people. But their idea of healing people is doing the opposite, hurting them in horrible ways. That's what school was. That's what going through this whole system was. I should have known about all my past lives. If I was able to fast and do DMT, I would have already known all this at the age of 5. But because this government works so hard to shoot us up as children with all these injections and bring our vibration as low as possible, cause as many health problems as possible, put us in the most fucked up, depressing state as possible, that's how they control us. And then they call us sheep. The Ews call us sheep. Look up ew, they're female sheep. But then you take the J off of ew, and now you have how they perceive us, which is really a projection of them. So evil. so disgusting. And here, look, we've got yet another messenger. Loki, my favorite one, the one that I think I identify the most closely with. Still more remarkable, perhaps, is the fact that this name, other than symmetry, but I've learned from my experiences that symmetry is the big evolution on this energy right here. Still more remarkable, perhaps, is the fact that this name is to be found exactly in the Wotan of the ancient traditions of Central America, who has moreover the attributes of Hermes, for he is Quetzalcoatl, the bird serpent, Atlantean Spider-Man. And the union of these two symbolic animals, corresponding respectively to the two elements, air and fire, is also figured by the wings and the serpents of the caduceus. All right, so the two masculine elements, air, fire, literally. One must indeed be blind not to see in such facts a sign of the fundamental unity of all traditional doctrines. All right, so Metatron, Atlantean Spider-Man, Quetzalcoatl, is connecting all these past lives so that he can build structures to support spirits that don't support him. This is why everyone makes money off of Mercury, but Mercury is like low-key wants to kill himself every day because he can't afford to live in his own land. He can't afford his bills or anything. So this is now how you can literally see Masons take Spider-Man's energy. That's Spider-Man, me, my Spider-Man energy, and then they sell it to trap all of us in poverty. They want all of us to normalize poverty. That's why Spider-Man is always poor. He's always poor, Peter Parker. So this is a manufactured vibration. I'm supposed to be the god of currency, but their idea of currency is making all of us work for them. So they're like, oh, you guys have Spider-Man powers? You should make connections for us, but not for yourself. So you don't have your own money. You make money for us. You do the police's job. You serve all of us, but we don't serve you in any way. In fact, we want to kill you. We see the government wants to kill Spider-Man, but Spider-Man supports the government. Literally, Spider-Man supports the government in all ways. He just supports the people when the government get too out of hand. When the government starts to kill too many people because the way they fight themselves is affecting the population, then Spider-Man steps in and now they want to kill Spider-Man. But they never help Spider-Man for helping them. Another equally interesting point is that in the Islamic tradition, the prophet Idris is identified both with Hermes and with Enoch. Boom. So now, shout out Renee, though. Shout out this person. The truth is here. Thank you, God. Because this is my relationship with God. This is literally my relationship with God right here. Another equally interesting point is that in the Islamic tradition, the prophet Idris is identified both with Hermes and with Enoch. So Enoch and Idris, both past lives of Mercury, all connected by one soul, one ego, one space. Many minds, many bodies, but one ego, one soul, one space. Yay. This double assimilation seems to indicate a continuity of tradition going back beyond the Egyptian priesthood, right, back Atlantis, before this universe, really, Metatron and shit. As far as Enoch is concerned, could only have been heir to the heritage of what he represents, for he himself clearly belongs to an earlier age. At the same time, the sciences attributed to Idris and placed under his special influence are not the purely spiritual sciences which belong to Christ, but alchemy and astrology and other intermediary sciences. These are in fact the sciences which can, strictly speaking, be called hermetic. But this brings us to another consideration, which might seem, at any rate at first glance, to be a rather strange reversal of the usual correspondences. As we shall see in a forthcoming article, for each of the planetary spheres there is a major prophet who presides over it, and its pole. Now, it is not Idris who presides over the heaven of Mercury, but Christ. Whereas Idris presides over the heaven of the sun, And naturally, this involves the same transposition in the astrological correspondences of the sciences, which are attributed respectively to these two poles. This raises a very complex question, the full treatment of which would be quite beyond the scope of the present article. We may have occasion to come back to it, but for the moment the following few remarks will perhaps afford a glimpse of the solution, and will in any case show that far from being a mere confusion, the reversal which might seem erratic in the eyes of a superficial and outward observer has in fact a deep-rooted cause. All right. Shout out Mercury. So let's see. Okay, bet. Firstly, it's not a single isolated case in traditional doctrine, for it has something like a counterpart in Hebrew angelology. Generally speaking, Michael, it is the angel of the sun, and Raphael is the angel of Mercury, but sometimes the relationship is reversed. On the other hand, if Michael, as a representative of the solar Metatron, all right, so there it is, representative of the solar Metatron, so Michael is a representative of Metatron, is assimilated esoterically to Christ, Raphael, according to the meaning of his name, is a divine healer, and Christ appears also as spiritual healer and as repairer. One could find also in other connections between Christ and the principle represented by Mercury among the planetary spheres. It is true that for the Greeks, medicine was attributed to Apollo, that is, to the solar principle, and to his son Asclepios, in Latin Asclepius. But in the Hermetic books, Asclepios becomes a son of Hermes, and it is also to be noted that the staff, which is his attribute, is closely related, symbolically, to the caduceus. Snap. The example of medicine shows us how one of the same science can have aspects which relate to different orders, and which therefore have different correspondences, even if the outward effects obtained seem to be alike, for there is purely spiritual or theurgic medicine, and there is also hermetic or spagyric medicine. This is directly related to the question we are considering, and perhaps it will lead to a subsequent article explaining why medicine, from a traditional point of view, was considered essentially as a sacerdotal science. On the other hand, there is nearly always a close connection made between Enoch, Idris, and Elijah, both of whom were taken up to heaven without passing through bodily death, and the Islamic tradition places both in the sphere of the sun. Similarly, according to the Rosicrucian tradition, Elias Artista, who presides over the Hermetic great work, has its dwelling place in the solar citadel, which is moreover the abode of the immortals in the sense of the Shaivis of Hinduism, that is, beings endowed with longevity, whose life lasts throughout the entire cycle. Absolutely. And which represents the aspects of the center of the world. Absolutely. And all this certainly worth reflecting on. And if one adds also the traditions from almost all parts of the world, which liken symbolically the sun itself to the fruit of the tree of life, one will perhaps understand the special relationship between the solar influence and Hermeticism, inasmuch as the essential aim and end of Hermeticism, as the lesser mysteries of antiquity, is the restoration of the human primordial state. It is not the solar citadel, which, according to the Rosicrucian doctrine, is to descend from heaven to earth at the end of the cycle in the form of the heavenly Jerusalem, realizing the squaring of the circle according to the perfect measure of the golden reed. That was a question. I didn't read that as a question at all. What is this? Wait. Is this all one sentence? Got it. Is it not the solar citadel, which according to the Rosicrucian doctrine is to descend from heaven to earth at the end of the cycle in the form of the heavenly Jerusalem, realizing the squaring of the circle according to the perfect measure of the golden reed. So that's all about bringing heaven to earth. And that's really all about our minds creating the body. So when our minds bring our body into this realm, that's our spirits breathing life into what matters. And when water matters first, this is why all of our bodies are built out of water. And now we can see stars are water. Everything's made out of water. Air is made out of water. And now all stars are water because a star itself is the atmosphere that allows a planet to be planned out. So we're on a planet and everything's being planned out. And that's all of us inside of one star because we're breathing life into the universe. So really, one could see the sun as all of our minds coming together, breathing life into one circumstance. And then that's where each star in existence is created by the minds that are coming together to build bodies out of water. When one views life from that perspective, things become a lot more natural. You know, like there's a lot of stuff out there. There's so much stuff out there. But when one meditates and thinks about elements and thinks about why their body is growing and how they've gotten up to the point that they are as a tree, as a plant, as a human, as a creature organism overall. And when one's connected to their past lives and they've experienced many stars, it does seem that each star exists inside of a universe, and the universe itself is a body of water, and the star, which appears like a sun because it's light being made out of the water, doing all these emotions and combining with our intentions and emotions. And then that's just where we get the whole idea of friction and fusion, fire and water coming together to create air. Once one sees stars as pockets of air that are shining out light based on the spirits who are communicating into that circumstance, then that's where we can learn a lot about our minds from the universe. We can learn a lot about where our minds are coming from. A lot. And then we can learn a lot about why these bodies matter and from where we're operating the body and how we've built bodies in the past. But Mason stole all this from me so that they can get you lost in everything that I've been taught. So clearly, they steal the truth to sell a lie. But for all cultures, the sun represents our minds being able to express our egos. And the moon represents our minds really being able to express our souls. And then earth represents our minds being able to express our bodies. And then the mind itself is the atmosphere in which this is all playing out. So when we see the moon as a reflection of earth, we can see that that's our minds inside of an atmosphere reflecting upon how the light being created from our egos is connecting with our soul from a hermetic standpoint. But again, this is just all stolen from me. So I get that you have to want to understand what I'm saying. You have to want to take responsibility for your power as your own Spider-Man. To care. Oh snap, this still goes on. Alright, is this important to read? In Hindu doctrine, considers the Buddha as being the 9th avatar of Vishnu. Alright, so that's Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, being Mercury. That is the foreign avatar. This does not necessarily exclude other divine interventions which have taken place on behalf of foreign, non-Hindu peoples during this same period. In particular, Christ might even be said to share with the Buddha the 9th avataric function, since his first coming was for the West what the advent of the Buddha was for the Far East, and what the Quranic descent was for the Middle region. Now, as we have seen in connection with the Buddha, the 9th avatar is a mercurial manifestation. It would then seem that the two comings of Christ may be related to his mercurial and solar aspects. The solar Christ being Christ glorious, that is the 10th or Kalki avatar, who is to come at the end of the cycle. The white horse of this final descent being a solar symbol par excellence, as the first coming of Christ. It may be mentioned that the month of May takes its name from Mercury's mother, Maya. So they literally stole everything from Mercury to make money. Literally everything. Who is said to be one of the Pleiades, and to whom that month was consecrated in ancient times. And in Christianity, it has become the month of Mary, by an assimilation which is doubtless not merely phonetic between Maria and Maya. Let us recall also, from the alchemical point of view, the correspondence between sun and gold. Yeah, so in general, light is produced from fire and water coming together. And on a Zoroastrianism level, you would have to then understand that fire is your man and water is your woman. So when you are a child of God in any star, you're going to be the child of God because you're creating an atmosphere that allows you to be seen. So then, boom, like that's where every body that is building something out of water is going to be contained inside of the air that they're communicating in, because they have to breathe life into a similar circumstance together. And then that's where we get our minds having to be born into certain atmospheres so that we can build bodies out of the material that is in that certain water cycle, because all these water cycles are different densities and everything. So if your body can't handle a density of water, then your mind is not even going to really be able to build a body there. This is why, I mean, when you think of a pregnant mom, women, they need very perfect circumstances. So our minds, on an atmospheric level, the trees have to create a very perfect atmosphere. Plants have to create a very perfect atmosphere before we can really start experiencing being organisms that turn plants into technology that lets us express our mind's true imagination type shit. So hopefully this is helpful. Studies in comparative religion. This is just me doing my Spider-Man duties. Pretty wild that I was not taught past lives are real. But right here we can see that all of Mercury's past lives are connected by one space. So, peace out. I'm about to go exercise because it's raining outside. And I love the rain, bro. Love the rain. Favorite weather phenomena. They may be messing with the weather to make it rain, but I love the rain regardless. So, thank you, God, not the government. The government wants to be God, but thank you, God. And the God is all the spirits who are creating the universe right now. And God is really the concept of all spirits communicating to create anything at any time. And that's why everyone's idea of God is individual to their own space. So much love. Peace out. Gang, gang.